Tonight on the Superstation, a tale of two cities, New York and not New York. Knicks at the Jazz. Salt Lake a fine city, however. The Oak Tree, Charles Oakley, ready to muscle up with Karl Malone. The Knicks take a 4-game win streak into Salt Lake. But waiting to go postal is the mailman, the NBA's Player of the Week on a scoring rampage. Knicks Jazz next on TBS.
Following is an exclusive presentation of Turner Sports. In 1998, cable television's exclusive host for the 18th Olympic Winter Games from Nagano, Japan, and the 4th Goodwill Games from New York.
Familiar faces, future Hall of Famers, but can the Utah Jazz seal the deal on their new face in the post? Since an injury-plagued start, the Jazz have proven that a decade of success breeds excellence. Winners of 5 straight, Utah, with the ageless duo of Stockton and Malone, have battled back to the top of the Midwest Division. Back east, the Knicks' ball never materialized. Since Patrick Ewing's injury, Larry Johnson and Allen Houston have played up to the challenge. Jeff Van Gundy has them playing a gritty, gutty type of basketball that keeps them on the heels of their Atlantic Division rivals. East meets West. Next on TBS. And welcome to the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, where there's uncertainty surrounding the Utah Jazz, and a significant trade is in question. And that is the backdrop tonight as the Jazz, winners of 5 straight, take on another red-hot entry, the New York Knicks, who have captured 4 in a row since the All-Star break. And hello again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton along with UB Brown. 2 days ago, the Utah Jazz presumably filled a gap at the center position by acquiring Ronnie Cycli from the Orlando Magic for forward Chris Morris and center Greg Forrester. Unfortunately, Cycli has balked at the trade, claiming he wants 2 years guaranteed on his contract. 48 hours are up at 8 o'clock, or 2 hours from now, and Cheryl Miller will talk to Scott Layton, the Jazz general manager, to find out what the Jazz will do. And Hubie, it is very difficult for a team that has designs to get to the finals and maybe win the championship to be in a state of flux at this point.
Well, you have to look at it this way, Dick. They are only 1 game in front of San Antonio for the division lead. Now, you have Foster and Morris down in Orlando. Foster is your backup center. Your starting center, Ostertag, is out for the next 3 weeks with a stress fracture. So tonight, while you're trying to hold on to the division lead, you're starting a player at 6'11", out of Temple, 250 pounds, who was out of basketball, but he played for your summer league team as your starting center. This is tough for the players. But what do they have in their favor? They are 23-4 at home, the 3rd best one-loss record in this league. Then they hit you with some very, very interesting stats. They're 5th in the league in scoring, 1st in field goal percentage, 1st in assists, 1st in taking care of the defensive boards. Then they get to the foul line 32 times and put the pressure on your front line and staying out of foul trouble.
No question about it. The Jazz very tough at home, where they've lost only 4 games. But tonight they go against the Knicks team. And when you talk about centers being out of action, Patrick Ewing has been out for the Knicks for the rest of the year with a wrist injury. Yet the Knicks have won 4 in a row. Their best record of the season right now. How are they getting it done?
Well, you look at it, 29 and 21. 2 guys have stepped up. Larry Johnson has increased his scoring 6 points. Allen Houston increased 7. They're doing a terrific job. Now, we'd like to show you a graphic. With Ewing, the team is 15-11. Without him, they are 14-10. It's a wash. Now, 2 interesting points. Same points, 92.5. Field goal percentage, same, 44.8. Now, they increased their scoring, though, with the 3-point shooting. Better because they're getting more looks and the guys are shooting a higher percentage. But tonight, Dick, the Knicks defense is always their ace in the hole. We have the #1 shooting team in the league against the #1 half-court defensive team in the league.
And that shapes up a terrific matchup tonight between the Jazz and the Knicks on Utah's home floor.
And the deadline to deal is approaching, but we like our TBS team. We're not going to make any moves. We think we can win with this team, so we're staying with it. Hi, and welcome to the Wednesday Fun, along with Reggie Theus. I'm Vince Cellini. And speaking of trades, we had another before Thursday's 6 p.m. deadline. Kenny Anderson vowed not to go to Toronto, and he won't have to. Anderson acquired by the Raptors in the Damon Stoudemire trade, and forward Popeye Jones and center Zahn Tabak to Boston for guards Chauncey Billups, D. Brown, forwards John Thomas, and Roy Rogers. For Kenny Anderson, 7th year in the league, his 5th team. So, Reggie, here's a guy much traveled. Why? And the second part to that question, is Boston a good fit for him?
Well, first of all, Vince, Kenny Anderson's best year was about 4 years ago when he was in New Jersey, averaging 18 points and 9 assists. This year, only 12 points and 5 assists, and that's the area where they think David Stoudemire would be the best. Now, in Boston, I think he's going to work out well because his love for the game has to come back with Rick Pitino and his style. I tell you something else. You know, I love the open court game, and he can get it done.
Well, he certainly can.
Yeah.
Another minor deal to talk about. Vancouver trading guard and seldom seen Anthony Peeler to Minnesota for forward Doug West, last of the original T-Wolves. Anything else cooking tonight?
Well, I hear Bobby Hurley and Michael Smith in Sacramento going for Otis Thorpe out of Vancouver, and also the Clippers shopping Brent Barry real hard.
Yeah, he's a guy who can play as well. All right, very good. You know, we're going to stay on top of this all night long for you, but coming up next, we have a game to play at Delta Center. Knicks and the Jazz. Dick and Hubie will call that for you next. Game time.
And welcome back to Salt Lake City. In the starting lineups, the New York Knicks, who can move ahead of the New Jersey Nets with a win and a net loss tonight. And the Knicks will start in the backcourt. Charlie Ward and Allen Houston. Up front, Larry Johnson and Charles Oakley, the forwards, and Chris Dudley, the center. For the Utah Jazz, 35-15 on the year. It'll be John Stockton and Jeff Hornacek at guard. Adam Keefe up front, along with Karl Malone, the other forward, and William Cunningham, the rookie from Temple, making his second straight start. Cheryl Miller.
Thanks a lot, Dick. And Hubie, well, I spoke to several of the Jazz players before the game, and emotions and opinions have varied about the situation. Karl Malone, John Stockton will not comment. They refuse to comment about the situation. Other players feel bad about the traded players. Their biggest question is, what will happen once these players return? One thing is for sure, in less than 2 hours, I will sit down and have a conversation with Scott Layton, who's the VP of basketball operations, regarding the status of Ronnie Cycling.
And that's what's hanging in the air, Cheryl. And Jerry Sloan told us today it would be disastrous if all of a sudden that deal is nullified as far as the other players coming back and what the overall morale could be. So that is the setting here as the Jazz with their first possession of the game.
Right now you're looking, you know, Utah always starts out with a pass to the wing, and they rub Stockton off, and they read how you're going to play them defensively.
Karl Malone missing the shot from outside, and that's what Jeff Van Gundy wants. He would prefer Malone to shoot from the outside instead of the many layups that he gets. Charles Oakley misses from outside, and the chase for the loose ball goes over to Utah.
For the Knick defense tonight, the test will be, can Dudley stay out of foul trouble guarding Karl Malone? They need him in the action. Buck Williams has a problem with his knee, might need surgery within the next 7 to 10 days. So they are short of front court people.
That's why Herb Williams is going to have to see some action tonight. So the Knicks are hurting at the big man spot, as he mentioned. Karl Malone, after missing the first from outside, hits the second. Malone, the NBA Player of the Week for the second time this year, coming off a brilliant week since the All-Star break. Jazz leading 2-0. Charles Oakley coming back after a one-game suspension and having a big game against Denver last night. Knicks winning 91-77 on the road. And the turnover. Here is Hornacek. He's been hot from outside. And Jeff Hornacek, who is shooting 65% from the field in the last 2 games.
Well, they're on fire right now from the perimeter. Stockton's healthy. Hornacek is putting the ball in the hole. And coming off the bench, Russell has found his range.
Hornacek has also found the range, so this is you mentioned, the best shooting team in the NBA. Charles Oakley misses from outside. Dudley tips it up, keeps it alive, over to Ward. Here's Allen Houston, and he misses his first shot as the Knicks going exclusively to the long-range shot attempt.
Now, I would like to show you the steal by Cunningham on the side. This was going up, there's down at the other end of the floor. Hornacek knocks this one in with no problem. Always dangerous in the open floor. Now, there's the steal by Cunningham, and he gets it out to start the break. Tonight, in a game like this where you have a good defensive team, 2 good defensive teams playing one another, 2 of the best teams in the league for a differential. They're 2 in the top 6 that we have in the NBA. So you know easy baskets will decide this game. Fast break, open transition, and second shots.
Knicks start off 0 for 4, all outside shots, thus the 22nd timeout called by Jeff Van Gundy. The officials tonight are Ed F. Rush, Ken Maurer, and James Capers as the Knicks inbound. Still looking to score with 2 minutes gone by here in the first quarter. Hornacek is guarding Allen Houston, and Houston is short. Hornacek was all over him, and that was a contested jumper by the Knicks. And a hard foul issued by Charlie Ward against John Stockton.
Now, that was just a terrific ball fake. And once he got Charlie Ward up, now just keep an eye on this. See, he's going to fake, he's going to take the three, gets Charlie up, and then steps right underneath him for the foul.
John Stockton has played 32 games since coming back from knee surgery. Fatigue does catch up to him now. He's not a youngster anymore and has averaged about 30 minutes per game.
The interesting thing is he's shooting 54% from the field. Just outstanding, because there are only a handful of guards who are shooting that during a year. And then the 82% on the line is consistent with his career.
It is 1 out of 2 from the line, and the Jazz off to a 5-0 lead.
Big thing with the Knicks, they've got to establish something down inside, Dick. This guy right here has got to get it.
Larry Johnson has it knocked away, and then William Cunningham with another defensive play. So Cunningham already paying dividends in this game. Cunningham working his way for a shot against Oakley, and the rebound by Oakley.
Hey, Cunningham is a big dude. We're talking 6'11", 250, takes up a lot of space.
Allen Houston firing away, and he misses. And the Knicks 0 for 6 to start the game. That's not what you want on the road against this team. Adam Keefe on the fast break layup, and the Jazz off to a nifty 7-0 lead.
Yeah, not only you can't make the field goal, Charlie definitely should have fouled Keefe there and not given that uncontested layup, because the guy's only a 60% foul shooter. Make him make the foul shot.
Again, the Knicks try from the perimeter, and it comes down into the hands of Cunningham. The Knicks have not attempted an inside shot yet. 0 for 7 from the field. Here is Keefe from the corner, and he hits. Adam Keefe coming off the season's high, 12 rebounds, along with his 12 points in the win against Charlotte on Monday.
Good timeout right now. Were we concerned that Utah was going to have a problem without a center here tonight? Now just watch. This is Keefe taking it strong over the top. Charlie Ward definitely should have fouled him in that situation, and then he put away that jump shot.
And they do have a center in Cunningham, apparently.
Yeah.
They have one of the better records in the league at 23-4, and have won 5 in a row here against the New York Knicks. And the shooting percentage, the Knicks have come up empty. So, Hubie, what do? You're on the road, and now you're getting blown out early to the tune of 9-0.
All coaches have a time clock in their head. 8-0, 9-0, 10-0. They'll call a timeout, and they'll say, listen, stay away from the jump shooting game. We got to get down into the paint. And by that, either by post-ups or drives, curls, off of screens, get the ball into the paint so we get higher percentage shots and we get to the foul line.
John Starks, who's averaging nearly 15 a game, and the 4th leading scorer on the Knicks, has come in for offensive weapon, and Allen Houston, who has scored 20 points or more in 10 straight games, gets the first Knick basket of the night.
Now, Dick, they just ran a triple stagger for Allen Houston coming out of that paint. Now, he could have curled and taken it all the way, or the open shot.
Malone guarded by Oakley, can't go baseline, so Karl Malone pulls up, and the rebound by Oakley. So the Knicks trailing 9-2, and there's Larry Johnson inside, and the pass inside, last touch, out of bounds by the Jazz.
The Knicks' strategy with Karl Malone is to get him to continue to shoot the jump shot. Just don't let him get inside for layups.
Brian Russell has come in the game for William Cunningham, so the Jazz going small here with a little more than 4 minutes gone by. There is Russell, who has played very well as of late and shooting well for the Jazz.
Well, Jerry Sloan just matched up with the Knicks. The Knicks went small. They've taken Dudley out of the game, move Allen Houston to small forward, so he came right in with Russell.
Oakley, a good feed from Ward, misses. Blocked, and a good defensive play by Adam Keefe. So the Jazz doing the job interior defensively thus far.
Oakley was definitely fouled. The man landed on his back that time that caused the turnover.
Adam Keefe with the high arcing jumper misses, and the Knicks come back down by 7. They've won 4 in a row, matching their longest winning streak of the year. Oakley loses it. Larry Johnson can't get a shot off, and finally Allen Houston hits from the baseline, his 2nd in a row.
Well, Oakley and Johnson, for some reason, cannot handle a basketball, Dick. Anytime they catch the ball in the paint, it's an automatic fumble, and then the Knicks are scrambling.
5-point lead for Utah as Johnson gets a hand on the pass inside, and 11 seconds on the shot clock for the Jazz.
The Utah Jazz are tall and long, and they are a very underrated half-court defensive play. They really get on you, and they force you into a difficult shooting position.
And there's Brian Russell, who went back door and gets the layup. Karl Malone, I should say, with the assist on that. Malone with a good pass, and Russell with the hoop. 5-point lead, and the Jazz get it back. Russell looking inside. Oakley in an arm wrestle with Malone. Illegal defense is the call against the New York Knicks.
Well, this is a major war, Oakley and Malone. Once you take Dudley out of the game, the Knicks are small. They have no shot blocking, so you want to go down inside and take everything to the rim.
And the concern for Jerry Sloan, how he would match up with the Knicks' small lineup, and we're going to find out shortly. Malone will inbound for the Utah Jazz. Hornacek guarded by Starks. And Jeff Hornacek with his second field goal of the game. The Jazz lead 11-4.
Hornacek is shooting 48 from the field, 45 in threes, and 89 on the line.
Starks misses a three, and the rebound by Karl Malone.
Oh, good call.
And Oakley gets hit, and now Oakley complaining.
That's right. Oakley has a complaint because Karl Malone caught him with an elbow. And right now, Oakley is split out. He's split open right now, and Oakley wanted a foul.
And he's going to his corner. This is like a boxing match where the second have to treat a cut on the eye.
Well, as this rebound comes off, keep an eye on Malone. You're going to see him right here. Now watch that right elbow as he catches it. See, he brought it up. First he hit him in the chest, and then he brought the elbow up. But Oakley's eye was split open in the initial rebound.
So Chris Dudley has come back in the game, replacing Oakley.
Nice pass.
Good feed inside. Stockton going out and throws it away. No one there for it. And John Starks working against Hornacek. Larry Johnson setting a screen. Jazz tight defense so far. Houston misses from the perimeter, and Hornacek cannot keep control, and the Knicks will get possession.
It's the floor at this end.
Yeah.
There's something in the air.
It's an ice hockey game, and the U.S. women are winning the gold medal.
Oh, I like that. I mean, that was very exciting. Yeah, come on. Girl steals the puck. They're only up 2-1, 15 seconds. Steals it at midfield or half court or whatever you want to call it.
Center ice, we call it.
And then right into an empty net. It was beautiful.
Deserves mention even on our telecast.
Yes.
Allen Houston from the corner, and Houston has accounted for all 6 New York points. The Jazz up by 5.
Look, Allen Houston looks smooth tonight. And what I like is he's looking for the shot.
Hornacek off the screen. He's hot early, but the rebound by Dudley, and here's Ward beating Allen Houston.
Nice pass.
And he tried to make the pass to Larry Johnson, who lays it in, and a foul. And the Knicks coming back after falling behind 9-0 at the start.
Now, that was dangerous what Allen Houston did, but he got it through. And now just keep an eye on this. He shushed it right through, and that should have been a clean catch by Larry Johnson. But then again, it would have been his first of the evening. All right, but so right now, Larry Johnson, you just got to keep awake in here right now because guys are getting him the basketball, and they need him to establish a low post game.
That was the first Knick layup of the game that was successful. So John Stockton on the bench, Howard Isley coming in as he does early in the games to take over at point guard for the veteran John Stockton in his 14th season. Malone working against Dudley. Dudley makes the block on him. Good defense by Chris Dudley. Knicks coming back down by 2, and they lose it. Larry Johnson loses it, and Karl Malone at the other end is fouled by Allen Houston. It'll be a 2-shot foul.
Now, good play that time by Allen. He was not going to give him the layup. Now, once again, the Knicks get a shot blocked by Dudley. They kick the ball out. They get it down the floor, and Larry Johnson doesn't make a clean catch. This causes this play to happen, and Allen Houston's smart play. Make Karl Malone hit the 2 foul shots.
Karl Malone, second leading scorer in the NBA, averaging 26 points a game, 7th in shooting, and 9th in rebounding, making another run at MVP, something he won last year. 6th all-time leading scorer in the NBA.
You know, Dick, there's a stat on him this year. They've played 50 games. Karl Malone has scored over 20 points in 47 out of 50 games.
Phenomenal consistency.
And when you consider the fact that he needs a major surgery on that finger on his shooting hand, to relieve a bone spur. You know, it's kind of almost amazing that he's doing this night in, night out while he's shooting a high percentage.
Yes, that tendon problem in the middle finger has affected his shooting. You wouldn't know it. John Starks misses from beyond the arc, and the rebound by Karl Malone. Here's Howard Isley, and he feeds to Malone, who finger rolls it in. Karl Malone now with 6 points, and the Jazz are up again by 6.
In the early going, Utah doing an excellent job holding the Knicks to only 1 shot. Utah already 8 points on fast break.
Allen Houston, and the rebound by Malone. So Malone has 6 points and 5 rebounds already. Isley throws the ball, and it's deflected out of bounds. Last touched by the Knicks.
Now on this break, just watch how Karl Malone finger rolls this one right up over the top of Allen Houston.
Utah Jazz have won 5 in a row since an embarrassing loss on the road against the LA Clippers, and they beat the Bulls after trailing by 24, and the Seattle Sonics. So they've beaten some tough customers. Here's Brian Russell, and it comes off. Nearly dropped for a 3 for Russell, and a foot block by Keith, and the Knicks will have a new clock with 4:03 remaining in the first.
With Chris Dudley in the game, he does an excellent job in his minutes. He only averages 16 minutes. He gets you 5 rebounds. Now you can see in the early going tonight, he is on that defensive glass, and once he gets it, he's clearing to get the Knicks out on the run.
He's got 19 rebounds in the last 2 games. And with Ewing out of there and Buck Williams headed for knee surgery that could sideline for the rest of the year, they need his boards. Ward feeding Dudley. Dudley fouled by the mailman.
Now, the reason for this hard foul is during Chris Dudley's career, he is a 46% foul shooter. And during the course of this season, he is also struggling at the line at 45%. So you are not going to let him dunk a ball. The closest guy, foul him, because he's basically a 1-for-2 guy.
Knicks shooting 22% from the field, trailing by 6 in this first quarter. And Dudley surprises everybody by sinking the first free throw.
Well, you just love this guy. Oh, there's Patrick over there, you know, cheering for his man, wishing that he could be in there and helping the ball club right now, because when Ewing went out, he was averaging 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game. He was having an excellent season.
He had wrist surgery. The cast has been taken off Patrick Ewing, and now he is wearing a removable splint, and he feels he can get back for the playoffs, although most people feel that Ewing's history as far as this year is concerned. 3:33 remaining in the first quarter. Dick Stockton, Hubie Brown, and Cheryl Miller with you at the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. Karl Malone goes lefty up with it and is fouled, and will go to the line with the Jazz up by 5.
What I like about Malone, he's in the top 3 guys in the league getting to the foul line. He averages over 9 attempts per game. Now you could see he could have forced that easy 15-foot jumper, but he realized that I'm taking it strong to the glass.
And look how he's delivered. Second in points in the league, first in consecutive starts with 518. And as you mentioned, his prolific scoring and consistent scoring.
He's just something to behold. When you consider the fact that the guy has played injured here through all of these years, and when you look at it and you say, hey, 517 starts, that's like starting for 6.5 straight years. Hey, no injuries, baby. You're lining up every single night, every game.
Missed only 4 games in 13 years in the league. Missed the first free throw, and the second one is good. Chris Mills has come in for the New York Knicks. He started for Charles Oakley in the win over Cleveland and has upped his game considerably lately.
Well, he's hitting the 3-point shots, and he is helping out on the boards. An excellent rebounder.
Starks working against Hornacek, and the fall away by John Starks in his first points of the game. Very important for Starks. 1 for 4 thus far that he gives the Knicks offense off the bench. Jazz lead by 4 with under 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Isley going to the hoop is fouled by Charlie Ward from behind.
Now, Charlie Ward honestly thought that there was going to be a screen and roll there, and he allowed Isley to turn the corner. Isley, a very heady point guard.
Over the years,
one brand has won more 4x4 awards than any other name in history. Once again, we've captured everyone's attention. Jeep Grand Cherokee 5.9 Limited, 4x4 of the year. Jeep, the most award-winning brand of 4x4s in all the world.
All of the skill, preparation, and courage are meaningless without support.
Express Lube service, Mr. Millen?
Make it quick. I've got a race to get to.
No problem. We guarantee an oil change and 19-point inspection in 29 minutes or less.
When genuine Toyota parts, quality service, and a fast pit stop are critical, choose Express Lube.
For the past 15 years, computer technology has been growing at an incredible rate.
I believe in order to be effective in the computer industry, you must have a broad knowledge in computer applications.
Bryan Career College is the place to begin your exciting new career in computer applications. Classes are forming now. Call Bryan Career College to enroll today.
TNT is cable television's exclusive home of the 18th Olympic Winter Games. Daytime's ultimate drama coverage continues tomorrow at 1 Eastern. Jazz leading 16-12 with 2:55 remaining in the first quarter after leading 9-0 to start the game.
Well, in the early going, I think that the Knicks transition defense is being tested because of all of the turnovers, and Utah running in the open floor has hurt them. Now you can see where Oakley is split open, and that happened in a rebound, not by the elbow. The elbow that Karl Malone landed was in his chest, and then he missed them with the second one.
Chris Childs will come into the game at point guard, replacing Charlie Ward for the Knicks. There is Childs, whose name had been mentioned in trade rumors. Unlikely that the Knicks will make that kind of a deal. And for the Utah Jazz, Shandon Anderson has checked in for them. Here is Isley leaving it for Malone, shooting over Dudley and hitting 9 points for Karl Malone here in the first quarter to go along with 6 rebounds.
Well, and he's making that perimeter 18 to 21 foot shot. He is totally impossible to guard, especially out of the screen and spot up.
Childs finding Allen Houston, who lost the ball. The Knicks have some sort of a malady, losing a lot of the passes and dribbles inside the paint.
Well, it's a good call, Dick, because Allen Houston was wide open coming off that screen.
So here is Isley, the backup for Stockton, loses Childs, and on the pickup, Malone inside, finding Brian Russell. Rebound by Allen Houston of the Knicks, who trail by 6.
The Knicks are very, very small right now.
Childs missing, and it goes over the top, turning it over to the Jazz.
Now, when you look at the Knicks right now, Chris Mills is their power forward, Allen Houston the small forward, and you have Starks and Childs in the backcourt. Now, you're trying to match up with their quickness. Now, what you're doing is you're playing to something that they do all the time.
1:45 remaining in the first quarter. Utah by 6. Hornacek getting by Starks, who commits the pushing foul. That'll be the first personal on John Starks.
Well, anytime that you run at Hornacek or John Stockton, they are excellent in giving you a ball fake to get you to leave your feet. Now, they either take you off the dribble then, or what they will do is have the body contact.
Second leading free throw shooter in the NBA is Jeff Hornacek. Second to Chris Mullin, as the Utah Jazz have 5 players shooting 80% or better from the line. Well, on Friday on TNT, the Rockets and the Timberwolves battle in Minneapolis at 8 o'clock. Next Tuesday, also on TNT, the Miami Heat against the Utah Jazz right here at the Delta Center. And then a week from tonight, it'll be the Lakers and the Pacers on the TBS. All games starting at 8 p.m. 1 free throw out of 2. The Jazz not that proficient thus far from the line, but leading by 7.
Well, it's rare, Dick. We have 2 teams with 5 guys each shooting over 80% on the foul line.
Mills trying to beat Russell off the dribble, and the foul is committed by Brian Russell.
Even if he was successful, he had no place to go because the player defensively in the corner was going to trap him. It was an easy trap.
Adam Keith will come into the game replacing Brian Russell. Russell did not score but picked up 2 personals. Keith scored 4 points. Karl Malone, the leading scorer for the Jazz, with 9. Allen Houston with 6 tops the Knicks. And John Starks with the field goal, his second of the game. And the Knicks down by 5 with a minute remaining in the first quarter.
Well, the Knicks are running a lot of beautiful single, double, and triple staggered screens on the baseline.
Under a minute to go with 11 on the shot clock for the Jazz. Hornacek tries to get it to Keith, and Adam Keith missing the layup. Dudley finally gets the rebound, his 5th, and the Knicks trying to narrow the 5-point deficit.
Nice.
Allen Houston alone for 3, and he's got it. And the Knicks now are down by only 2.
That was beautiful. That was a great decision by Chris Childs, but Allen Houston called for that, and you got to give Childs a lot of credit. He
Sorry, Isley driving in, missed the layup, and the Jazz get it back. And they can play for the last shot of this first quarter.
Yeah, that's too bad, Dick, because Chris Dudley is really intimidating here in the last 2 to 3 minutes. He has made an awful lot of good defensive things happen for the Knicks.
Knicks were down 9-0, trailed by 2, fell behind again, and now down by 2. And Hornacek draws the foul. He wanted the basket as well, and he'll shoot a pair.
Now watch Childs pass this ball back after he gets right into the pick. And then you have one of the best three-point shooters in the league, Allen Houston, because he shoots a very high percentage, 43% in threes.
Allen Houston coming off a 34-point game against Cleveland last Sunday, which was his best performance in a Knick uniform.
Dick, I lied. Allen Houston is not shooting 43% in threes. He's shooting 40%.
Well, we're not going to quibble over a couple of percent when you're over 40.
No, but listen, there's someone out there who knows that he's only shooting 40%.
And you didn't lie. You misspoke. There's a difference. Let's face it. Antoine Carr coming into the game, a big body inside for the Jazz. Hornacek makes both free throws.
Plenty of time here.
4-point lead for the Jazz, and here is Mills. Chris Mills.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Dudley, and the basket will count.
That's good.
As the first quarter ends, and the Knicks.
Oh, Jerry Sloan's going to get a C here. He's already down.
Claiming offensive interference.
That's he is. Now, what he is saying is that the ball was over the cylinder and that he came down. Now, just keep an eye to Chris Dudley, who is to the left of the lane. Now, as this shot goes up, watch it right there. Oh, that's way off. No problem. That was a good call. The basket was definitely before the red light, and the ball was definitely off the rim.
And after the first quarter, the Knicks, who were down 9-0 at 1 point, trail the Utah Jazz by only 2.
Every week on the Superstation, there's a storm shaking the ground, pushing the limits. Live on the Superstation, Thunder. Last Thursday, Hogan looked for an apology from Macho Man, but got a telegraphed message. DDP saved a crippled Benoit and cleared out Raven's block, and the total package met the Nature Boy. This Thursday night on the Superstation, feel the Thunder. Thunder, Thursday night, 8:05 Eastern, only on the Superstation.
Let's start with the brewmaster for just a moment. The brewmaster is the chef. That is the key brewmaster role, to understand the blending of his or her ingredients. Not only he or she tastes the beer every day, there's another person who tastes the beer every day, and that is me. The ability to have hands-on brewmasters working with the finest ingredients gives you Budweiser.
You know me like a book. You know my moves before I make them. I go right, you're there. I go left, you're there before me. I shoot from downtown, you're in my face. The only way to beat you is to go right at you. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. Tonight, I'm gonna own you. Ready? Let's go.
Wow, it's crunch time, folks. 3 seconds to play in a tie ball game. Wooten has the ball. This one's come right down to the wire. Wait a minute. They're leaving the floor. Where the heck are they going?
Nice place, man.
Nestle Crunch. It's just more fun to munch.
White Crunch, ahoy!
Nestle Crunch also comes in creamy white chocolate. It's just more fun to munch.
Vince Giuliani back at the Atlanta studios, and less than a day away now from the trade deadline. One of the names that keeps resurfacing, Christian Laettner of the Atlanta Hawks, but in the lineup against a hot New Jersey Nets team at home, and Laettner there with a feed from Mookie Blaylock. At halftime, the Atlanta Hawks 51-44, and of course we're keeping track of the trades or non-trades. We'll talk about that at our halftime. Back to Delta Center.
All right, Vince, thank you very much. Howard Isley, along with Shandon Anderson, Antoine Carr, Adam Keefe, and Brian Russell for the Utah Jazz as we start the second quarter. Antoine Carr misses, and Chris Mills, that's what he's been doing. He's been averaging over 5 rebounds a game.
Now, in the first quarter, New York shooting 33%, but with 5 turnovers. Utah shooting 39%, no offensive rebounds, but 7% from the foul line.
Chris Dudley on the drive misses. Keefe the rebound. The Knicks tried only 4 layups in the first quarter and 20 shots from outside, yet trailing by only 2. Keefe passing up the shot. Brian Russell goes for 3, and he's got it. Brian Russell, who is only 33%, but taking a lot of three-pointers, more than anyone on the team. 5-point Utah lead. Starting out in the second quarter, the Knicks coming in with an 11-15 record on the road. Not good enough for a contending team.
Now, that was their 6th turnover. That time, Allen Houston, fake coming off of the screen, came right back in the lane. Unfortunately, Oakley overshot with the pass.
Mills is guarding Russell and knocked away, and Oakley with a fine defensive play. 3-on-2 break. Childs to Oakley, misses the layup. Childs with a jumper hits, but the Knicks once again had a 3-on-2 edge and could not make the easy layup.
The early going right now, the inside people for the Knicks are really hurting this clock. They've got to step up and start executing, and by that we mean scoring with these easy shots.
Isley out to Carr on the kick out, and Antoine Carr misses. Adam Keefe keeps it alive, and Keefe now with 6 points for the Jazz. Jazz starting out without Malone in the lineup as we start the second quarter. The Knicks with Oakley, Dudley, Houston, Mills, and Childs, the point guard. Here's Houston slicing in. Allen Houston in and out. And the rebound by Keefe into the hands of Isley. The Jazz up by 5. Good feed to Carr, and a foul. Howard Isley doing a terrific job penetrating and feeding Antoine Carr.
Now keep an eye right here. This is a good steal by Oakley. He gets rid of the ball. Smart. Let the guards bring the ball up the floor. 3-on-2. Now watch this choice by Ward. Excellent choice. You got to send that down, Charles. But fortunately, Chris Giles saves everybody and knocks in a jump shot.
Antoine Carr making the first free throw. The 14-year veteran, well-traveled in the NBA. John Starks replaces Allen Houston. Houston led the Knicks with 9 in the first quarter, including 1 triple. And the Jazz leading 28-21 on the free throws by Carr.
Yeah, right now, the Knicks, they've got to regroup here right now. You do not want this to get out to 12 or 13. You got to pull together here. They've got Larry Johnson back in the game right now, going with their main inside people.
Mills with the jumper. Fight for the loose ball, and Larry Johnson recovers. Utah's going to the free throw line 9 more times than the Knicks, who haven't gone inside much. There they do, as Charles Oakley gets his first points of the game.
The Knicks perimeter people are doing a terrific job in putting the ball on the floor and hitting the people. Once they got past that first 5 minutes of the first quarter, they're hitting these front court guys on the move.
Carr is guarded by Oakley. Now setting a screen for Isley. And Keith gets hung up along with Larry Johnson, and they'll call the foul on LJ.
You have to watch out for Keith. He's one of these busy players. They call no offensive plays for him. He gets all of his points out of sheer hustle, and he's an excellent offensive rebounder. This is where he's working hard.
Started 43 of the last 44 games. The one game he did not start was due to the birth of his twin daughters. He already has 5 off the glass. Carr with a fake on Oakley, tipped by Mills, and the Jazz will have 13 seconds to attempt a shot.
Anytime Antoine Carr is in the game with Malone out, they're going to work hard. They're going to keep going to him, try to set him up down low.
John Stockton with a feed to Adam Keith, who Keith now with 8 points. So Malone, who is on the bench, and Keith have 17 of the Jazz 30 points.
Keith going to the basket, Dick, that's by design. Anytime you run something on one side of the lane, and if his man leaves the double, he's right up in there.
Starks has his shot blocked inside by Carr. Great block following a great pass inside. So the Knicks trying to go inside on the Jazz, come up empty now. Utah with a lead of 7. 4 minutes gone by in the second quarter. Jazz trying to make it 6 in a row and end the Knicks 4-game winning streak.
Oh, boy.
Brian Russell with a smooth 3, his second of the game.
Everyone's talking about how he's struggling. We have seen him in Chicago, and again tonight, he cannot miss a 3.
He came off the bench in that second quarter and led a 24-point deficit surge to give the Jazz a dramatic win over the Chicago Bulls 2 weeks ago.
Now just watch as Stockton gets back underneath here, and he kicks out. This is all by design. If you notice, it's the second time Stockton has gone behind the backboard, and the second time that Russell has put up for that excellent three-point range.
Get the latest scores and highlights from CNN Sports Illustrated nightly at 11.
2 pounds. It helped me control my hunger and my weight.
Herbal Fen-Phen is an all-natural dietary supplement that works to reduce cravings and control hunger. HPF Herbal Fen-Phen is a unique herbal blend which includes only natural ingredients. A double-blind study conducted by a major university hospital concluded that Herbal Fen-Phen is well-tolerated and effective when used as directed. Study results show patients using Herbal Fen-Phen lost an average of 30% more weight than the control group. When combined with diet and exercise, Herbal Fen-Phen works.
Herbal Fen-Phen can help you lose the weight. It changed my life. It can change yours, too.
Available at GNC, Great Earth Stores, Complete Wellness, Nutrisystem, and fine health food stores and pharmacies. For more information, call 1-800-242-4200.
Back here in Salt Lake City, the Jazz with their biggest lead, 10 points, thanks to their front court. Karl Malone is on the bench right now, has 9. Adam Keith has 8, and they've outscored the Knicks front court 25-8. The Knicks are shooting 32%. They're doing the job defensively. Utah at 42%, and that's what the Knicks give up during the regular season. Second in the NBA defensively. They've got to get that offense going. Here is John Starks. Misses the 3. In and out. Russell the rebound.
It's so difficult to beat a playoff team on the road in their building where they're a high percentage winning team from the outside.
Jazz have outscored the Knicks 12-4 here in the second quarter. Russell taps it out to Stockton. And the basket counts and a foul. Stockton got hit in the face, and he knew it, and he let go. And John Stockton with his first field goal of the game.
Yeah, good call, Dick. As soon as he felt that bump, just watch what happens here as Childs bumps. He bumps. You notice he only took one step, and that shot was right up in the air for the continuation.
Little experience there.
I would think so.
John Stockton out of Gonzaga. And he brought out an interesting point. He didn't just come in and make a splash when he joined his team.
No, for 3 years he played behind Ricky Green. Ricky Green was an excellent player. Back then they had Adrian Dantley and company. They had a very good ball club. John waited, and then after that, he was all NBA, first, second, or third team for the next 10 years.
And the all-time leader in assists and steals in the league, handling the ball right now with the Jazz up by 13 points. How quickly they can really raise the roof on their lead. And all with Karl Malone on the bench. Here is Stockton looking for help.
That kicked out.
6 on the shot clock. And here is Shandon Anderson trying to get away from Childs. And he scores. Childs did everything he could do defensively. And Anderson gets the hoop.
cannot play a man better than that.
And a 10-0 run by the Jazz, and they've done it with Karl Malone getting the rest. That is not something to look forward to for the New York Knicks. Stockton saves it. A 15-point lead by the Jazz. Here at home against the Knicks. Jazz have won 5 in a row against New York here in Utah. Brian Russell going around Mills. Anderson hits his second in a row. And the Jazz are up now by a score of 40-23. And the Knicks, the victims of a 12-0 run here.
Yeah, the spotting up has just been beautiful. They're stretching the Knicks defense. And then, unfortunately for the Knicks, they are making the three-point shot.
Again, Starks missing from the perimeter. The Knicks unable to go inside or unwilling, whatever. Brian Russell with the jumper, and it's 42-23, a 19-point lead, and the Knicks will want a timeout.
Now just keep an eye on this as once Stockton goes behind the glass. And there is the throw out because he knows that a man is spotting up on that spot. All teams have guys. Now this is just a very, very tough shot. You cannot play a man better than that. The hand was right in the face.
How has Black history made an impact in your life?
More than anything, it gave me a sense of pride and a better understanding of who I am. It made me more determined to do something positive with my life.
Some people may say, I'm not African American, so why do I need to learn about Black history?
Because Black history is American history. It's about celebrating American people. That's why everybody should celebrate Black History Month.
Its beauty will draw you in. Its new engine will pump the valves of your heart. And the line that separates man from machine will disappear completely. Introducing a new kind of LS400. You've never felt so connected to a car.
No matter what sport you're into, Foot Locker's got you covered with the hottest footwear and apparel from all the top brands. Foot Locker, where it all begins.
The NBA on TBS is brought to you by Lexus. The future of Lexus is here. Fasten your seatbelts. And by Taco Bell. There's something inside you that's hungry for Taco Bell. Want some?
$19-point lead by the Jazz.
I would like to show you what's going on here. Out on the perimeter, here is the screen and roll. The basketball is here. Now, once that ball is put down on the floor, you're going to see 3 Knicks rotate into this position. But you'll see the Jazz will spot up right in these spots, and what we call that stretching the defense. You know that the Knicks are going to rotate to pick up the charge, and now they are just killing them with medium jump shots or with distant threes.
How many years have the Jazz used that play as their bread and butter, or a variation of it? Allen Houston is fouled by Shandon Anderson. 14-0 run by the Utah Jazz here.
Dick, they have one of the best benches in the league. You know that. They give them 31 points a game. You have Anderson in here, good defender, good scorer. Then you have Russell, Carr, and then what you do is you keep Keefe out there with this group, and you have a lot of quickness.
Knicks are only 25% from the perimeter, but they've been more successful when they've gone inside. Big disparity of where they're taking their shots from. Larry Johnson working inside and an up and under against Antoine Carr, or that was only the 7th shot attempt inside by the Knicks as opposed to 28 outside.
Well, right now, Oakley is 1 for 6. Johnson is now 2 for 4. Never mind a ton of turnovers.
Charlie Ward, the point guard, in guarding Stockton. Oakley on the switch. Double team for the moment on Carr. Good ball movement by Utah, but the Knicks hang in. 3 on the shot clock. Brian Russell, and the clock runs down, and the Knicks with a good defensive sequence.
One of the very few post-up moves by the Knicks. This is just a good ball fake and a step through, playing the glass well.
Well, the Knicks have to feel that to get back in this game, they've got to go inside, because they couldn't handle the ball well inside in the first quarter. Turned it over several times. Here's Larry Johnson again, facing Antoine Carr, and he's fouled.
Well, listen, he's lucky he got fouled because Stockton stripped him of the ball. And he was fouled by an interior player who rotated to pick him up. Right now, the Knicks cannot get a break. The perimeter people need the pressure off of them that they have to make every three-point shot.
Karl Malone has come in right now after a rest of nearly 8 minutes. And the Jazz increased their lead by 15 with Karl Malone on the bench.
Well, that's rare.
Johnson misses the first free throw. Here are the upcoming games coming up on Turner Sports. Friday and next Tuesday on TNT beginning at 8 Eastern. And a week from tonight on TBS. You'll see the Rockets, the Timberwolves, the Heat, the Jazz, the Lakers, and the Indiana Pacers. Missed free throws by Larry Johnson. And it is still a 17-point lead. Now 19 is Shandon Anderson with his 6-point off the bench.
Well, Jerry Sloan loves Shandon Anderson. They post him against 2 guards or small forwards because they feel he can score over anyone on that left box.
Under 4 minutes remaining in the first half. Knicks struggling against the very tough Utah defense and taking ill-advised shots tonight. Allen Houston nowhere to go with it, and the clock runs down.
Now this is just good post-up basketball. You know you're going down inside. A fake to the baseline, made the defender move.
John Stockton in the forecourt, goes around Charlie Ward, changes hands and lays it in. 6 points for John Stockton. And a 21-point lead for the Utah Jazz, and they haven't needed Karl Malone at all here in the second quarter. And Oakley bobbles a handoff inside.
Good decision by Charlie Ward, Dick. He got in there, created the opportunity.
And the Knicks turnovers, 9 of them, most of them have come in the paint. And a pushing foul against the New York Knicks.
Now keep an eye on Stockton here. See, he opened up the baseline for him. He just was uncontested with the left-handed shot. You say, well, why did that happen? Because the guy playing him is looking for the screen and roll to the inside, and you hesitate, and John reads your body language so well that as soon as you do that, he explodes to the baseline. And then, if the defense rotates, he'll kick out for the open jump shots.
Karl Malone, who has averaged 31 points against the Knicks last season in the 2 games, the team split. And this is the first game between these teams this year. They'll meet another time March 22nd at Madison Square Garden in New York.
Now you can see the frustration on Stark's face. Also Oakley. The Knicks played last night in Denver, traveled here, and you can see they are totally out of sync in their half-court game this evening. But you have to give Utah a ton of credit for their aggressiveness defensively and getting their hands in. They're very active tonight.
Jazz lead is 22 with 3 minutes to go in the first half. The Utah Jazz 23-4 here at the Delta Center. Very tough, including a win over the Chicago Bulls. Here is Allen Houston working against Shandon Anderson. And fighting for the rebound is Johnson, out of bounds. Last touch by Utah.
Tonight's a perfect example of a team not double-teaming post-up people. So Utah stays with the great perimeter shooting of the Knicks. And anytime there's a kick-out, so what? The guy does not have an open shot. Why? No inside game to be double-teamed.
Brian Russell with 8 points off the bench goes out, replaced by Jeff Hornacek, who has scored 7. Houston on the miss, and the Jazz on the march again. Barely 2.5 to go. Malone is left open for the moment, pulls up against Larry Johnson, and Karl Malone now with 12 in the game, and a 24-point lead. The Knicks have scored 19 in the first quarter, have only 6 here in the second.
Everything is working, Jay. Open to the floor.
And we've seen it from this team at home many, many times. Chris Mills working against Shandon Anderson. Good defense by Anderson in his second year. Allen Houston with under 2 minutes to go in the first half, and the rebound by Mills. And Mills lays it up, and that'll count, and he's fouled as well.
Strong move by Chris Mills. He's been playing well over the last 2 to 3 weeks. He's scoring, he's rebounding, he's doing a real fine job. Jeff Van Gundy and staff extremely happy. You can see right now, this is just take it strong to the rim and then hope that everything will go down for you.
Adam Keefe with the foul, and here is Mills, who came over from the Boston Celtics in a trade that sent 3 rookies to Boston, one of whom, Thomas, was traded to Toronto in their big trade today.
Yes, indeed. Now, right now, the Knicks are going with 4 perimeter people. Mills at power forward and Jeff Houston at small forward.
Malone left open, and he hits. Dudley couldn't get around the screen, and Malone has 14 points tonight.
They're putting on a perimeter clinic.
And the Knicks are putting on a perimeter X-rated show. Mills misses the 3. Dudley with the offensive rebound. No basket.
Yeah, he got away with he thought he got away because it was a late ball with a loose ball push.
Dudley's first personal foul. Well, we have not seen William Cunningham, who the rookie from Temple who started the game, made 2 good defensive plays and then came out, proving that the Utah Jazz can indeed play without a middleman. Greg Ostertag, as you pointed out at the top, out with a stress fracture.
Well, as soon as the Knicks went small, Jerry Sloan countered that by bringing in Russell and also going small. Since that time, the Knicks have really not gone big at any time, so Jerry Sloan is sitting here just loving his ball club.
Coming up on the Nike halftime report, Vince and Reggie with scores and highlights. And the latest trade news, including Kenny Anderson, dealt to the Boston Celtics from the Toronto Raptors in a 7-player deal. And, of course, we'll have news in about an hour here as Scott Layden, the general manager of the Jazz, will explain what decision the Jazz are going to make in the Ronnie Cycli trade. He has balked at coming over after the 3-player deal plus a #1 going to Orlando made 2 days ago. Here's John Starks with a feed into Mills, who lays it in. Good bounce pass from Starks.
When you go small, you're hoping for quickness. You're hoping you can hold the other team to 1 shot, get out in the open floor, run, and then make some threes.
Utah shooting 54% from the field. Malone doesn't get the foul as he winds up on the floor. And the Knicks down by 23 with under a minute remaining in a half. Here's Mills missing from the corner. And I don't remember the last time the Knicks made a shot from outside.
Yeah, and you can see that's just frustration by Dudley. He's trying to help his club out by getting on the offensive glass. Unfortunately, he went right up over the top of Karl Malone.
And Malone will go to the free throw line. That is the second personal on Dudley.
Yeah, right now we have big words here from Malone and Dudley as they walk down the floor. But, you know, Karl Malone didn't like the fact that he went on his back. But then again, Chris Dunley's hustling, and if you're his coach, you're happy with the offensive effort.
Now 12 extra free throws made by the Jazz because they have gone inside where the Knicks have abandoned the inside play. And then speaking of the perimeter shooting, the last time the Knicks successfully made an outside shot was 10 minutes ago when Chris Childs hit a jumper, and our memory does not go beyond 10 minutes, so we can't remember the last time they hit one.
Well, tonight's a perfect example. That's why we brought up the stat at the top. 32 foul shot attempts a game. They wear you down. They force you to make substitutions. They get on the line, and they shoot that high percentage.
And the Knicks not making it from outside as Ward misses it from the perimeter. The Knicks horrendous shooting from outside. Thus they're down by 25. Ward with a steal runs into Malone, and he had to take a crunch there. Heisman Trophy or no, he was padded when he played quarterback for Florida State.
Yeah, he was frustrated because of missing the shot, and then he thought he had a steal. Now, just watch him come into your picture. He gets the deflection, but he loses his balance. Now, that was a hard hit. You always worry about guys getting a shoulder injury when you get hit right there.
Malone went over to Ward to make sure he was all right. And Karl Malone with 18 points. No, he went over to him after that replay to make sure that the Ward was all right. You can't blame Ward for hustling on that contact.
Sure, he made a deflection. He thought that he could out-quick Karl Malone to that loose ball.
Charlie Ward with his third personal foul. Malone going to the line. This will be his 12th free throw attempt. And a 26-point lead by the Utah Jazz. In 16 minutes of this first half, Malone has scored 19. And now the Knicks playing for the last shot. Would have been a futile offensive first half thanks to the Jazz suffocating defense.
And their second unit, Dick, very productive, not only with the points, but excellent defense.
Absolutely right. Houston has it knocked away. There's that defense. Anderson, Stockton on the drive. And Hornacek with a tip, and that would have counted had that ball gone through. And Jeff Van Gundy is looking at an avalanche by the Utah Jazz, who led by 2 after 1 quarter, outscored the Knicks 35-11 in the second. A gigantic lead over the Knicks at halftime here at the Delta Center.
Stockton to Brian Russell, and part of a 26-point halftime lead for the homestanding Utah Jazz in our game. And we welcome you to the Nike Halftime Report along with Reggie Theus. I'm Vince Giuliani, and it's time to talk trade. And here's the deal. Kenny Anderson, who vowed never to go to the Raptors after the Damon Stoudemire trade, won't have to. Anderson, forward Popeye Jones, and center Zahn Tabak head to Boston in exchange for guards Chauncey Billups, D. Brown, and forwards John Thomas and Roy Rogers. Anderson's 5th team if you count that phantom stop in Toronto. The Celts hope he stays a while.
I think that Kenny Anderson, the main thing is that if he has great enthusiasm for the game of basketball, I don't think anybody ever would mistake that he has great talent.
I was always optimistic that Kenny was going to show up, but you know, if he was going to show up, we were left with no alternative but to trade him. Fortunately for everyone, I think we got a better deal now with this trade. So I think it worked out great for us, and hopefully Kenny's happy going to Boston.
Some other deals of note, as Reggie mentioned at the top of the night, the Kings trade guard Bobby Hurley and forward Michael Smith to Vancouver for forward Otis Thorpe, a former Kansas City King, and guard Chris Robinson. The Grizzlies earlier traded guard Anthony Peeler to Minnesota for the T-Wolves' all-time leading scorer, guard Doug West. But Reggie, back to the Kenny Anderson situation. Has he found a home there? Is he a good fit for Boston?
Well, you know, Vince, I think that Boston is looking at this as on what Kenny did in the past. 4 years ago, he averaged 18 points and 9 assists. Now, if he goes into Boston and falls in love with Rick Pitino's system, get that zest back into his game, they don't need the 18 points, but they can sure use the 9 assists because Chauncey Billups was only averaging about 4.
And Rick Pitino saying that he's not satisfied yet. Could be more moves for Rick and the Boston Celtics. But to the games now, and Penny Hardaway, subject of trade talk, still a Magic player. The club hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves, though Penny nursing the strained left calf muscle, not playing. Minnesota lost 7 straight in Orlando. Magic on the break, Mark Price, Ho Grant, the lay-in and foul, and a 1-point Magic lead in the first quarter. Second quarter, Derek Strong. Lay-in and the foul. The Magic was up 52-43. And now with 3:08 left in the game, 77-69 Orlando Magic. However, Mark Price, torn left thumb ligaments in the second quarter, out 4 to 6 weeks. The Magic down to 8 players now. Remember, the Timberwolves have not won in Orlando since January of '91. Hot Nets stopping by Atlanta to face the Hawks team that was struggling of late. Christian Laettner back after a 4-game absence. Had flu that turned into a kind of a pneumonia thing, but there he is off the pick and roll with Mookie. And a 2-point Hawks lead in the second quarter. Dikembe Mutombo catching a nice pass and from Drew Barry and part of a 10-0 run. Then Keith Van Horn. Van Horn follow, sticks it. And this is sick. Van Horn at the free throw line now. Watch this play. Missing the free throw, Reggie. He follows it up with his stuff. Oh, gotta love that if you're a Nets fan.
Called blocking out.
Atlanta, though, with the lead, 74-66 now, under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter there. The Nets have won 5 in a row overall. They've lost their last 6 in Dixie. So here's a Nets team, Reggie, really a talented team, an improving team, coming to Atlanta against a vulnerable Hawks team, but Atlanta taking charge.
Well, Atlanta started the season off playing such great basketball. I mean, they've leveled off quite a bit. Mookie Blaylock not playing the same as he had, 37% from threes last year, 26% this year. But I tell you what, inside, Henderson getting the job done, Laettner playing very well, and Mutombo plugging up the middle. That's what's going on. And the Hawks shooting poorly lately, tonight shooting 50% from the field. And that's what's happening here.
Not a good sign for the Nets. They trailed at the half, and 1-10 when they trail at the half on the road. Much more on the Nike halftime report coming up, including a Bucks team maybe better on the road, and they're against the Whiz Kids. Tonight, Rod Strickland was good. He was very good. We'll show you how good in a moment.
This is Unit 21, Hospital Boy basketball game in progress.
Yo, Unit 10 on the way.
What's up, dog?
How's it going?
What's up? What's up?
What, you on the point now?
The job of the front police is never done.
How's Dad? He's holding up. A little misty. I mean his headache. He was really hurting. I gave him Tylenol. Extra strength. He's okay? Well, his headache's gone. As for okay?
For headaches, Tylenol is recommended the most by doctors.
How's your headache?
Oh, the head's perfect. The heart is aching just a little.
Me too.
Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
In our quest for the finest brakes in the world, we tested our pads against other leading brands. With pad after pad, in test after test, the results were always the same. No other brand stopped shorter than Performance Friction Carbon Metallic, the ones we stock at AutoZone.
2 magazines, 1 double espresso, $12. Khaki pants, $45. Work boots, $85. Realizing you're unzipped before anyone else does? Priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Accepted all over. Even coffee bars.
Well, the Bucks at the Wizards tonight, and a whole bunch of Wizards on the bench tonight. There are a lot of guys in street clothes there. Rod Strickland was not. Rod Strickland with the drive here and a pretty move up and in. 73-71, Wizards in the third. Later in the third, watch Ray Allen go to work. The pass to Irvin Johnson, and easy finish there. 75-73 Bucks. Bernie, what do you got for us on the scoreboard? Milwaukee, 103-98 now, under a minute left, 45 seconds left in the game. Strickland, as we said, big game, 31 points there as the Wizards open a 7-game homestand tonight. Not how they wanted to. L.A. at Phoenix tonight. This was a 9 o'clock Eastern start. The Lakers have beaten the Suns in 8 straight games. Nick Van Exel, right knee trouble, continues to bother him. Will not play tonight. He is resting that knee. Reggie, how about those Lakers, and where is this team now post-All-Star?
Vince, they have just not had a good post-All-Star game. Right now, they don't have a workhorse, a guy that's going to come in there and just get it done. I tell you, the Lakers, I hear that the Lakers are always talking about, you know, it's hard to play with Shaq. We don't know how to get it done with Shaq. Yeah, it's hard if you're trying to score. Somebody on that team has to start playing defense and rebounding. Eldon Campbell could be the key to that team, but I'm just not sure he's able to do that.
See how I do the dirty work for us? That's my role. You're the scorer. There's no question.
Right. Put it on.
Later tonight, David Stoudemire face-to-face with Gary Payton. The Blazers seek a 5th straight win. A Sonic win will be their 40th of the year. Newly acquired Jim Jackson, Clarence Weatherspoon, not expected to be ready for the Warriors after the Joe Smith deal. Charlotte and Oakland and Boston continuing a grueling 8-game road trip at Vancouver. Our game at the half, decidedly Jazz by 26 like it. Be right back.
And William Cunningham starting at center, played briefly to start the game. The rookie from Temple, and a steal by Allen Houston. He's got Houston, Ward, Oakley, Chris Dudley, and Larry Johnson, and a Jazz foul by Keith, his second.
Well, we've been in too many NBA games to ever count out another playoff team. We know that they could have 2 surges in the second half. Big thing right now, just try to get it down to 12 or 13, and then you work on that last quarter.
Screen! Larry Johnson looking inside. Houston cuts. 9 on the shot clock, and here's Ward trying to get it to Dudley, and Dudley's foul. That's what the Knicks could not do early in the game because they could not handle the passes, and they turned it over excessively and then relied on outside shots, which they didn't make.
Well, what I like about Utah is you just don't get uncontested layups. You can see it right here. Dudley's going strong. They challenge all the shots, just like the Chicago Bulls. They challenge, and if they can't challenge and block it, they foul you, and they force you to make the foul shots.
Where would the Knicks be without Chris Dudley, who was picked up in that trade from Portland, knowing that Patrick Ewing out with the wrist injury, and of course Buck Williams, very tough injury, expected to undergo knee surgery very shortly. So the Knicks are very empty in the center position.
Well, there are 2 guys that you count on to score for you up front, Ewing, then also Buck Williams for your second unit. Now, Dudley has done a terrific job here tonight at the defensive end. He's really helped out. Well, this game would even be more out of whack than it is.
Unfortunately, he does not make his free throws, so the Knicks could not eat into that lead, as the Jazz will inbound with 15 seconds to try a shot. Not yet 1 minute gone by here in the third quarter. Keith will fire from inside the arc, and Stockton the rebound. Blind toss out to Hornacek, who will start a new clock.
See, Dick, they're always spotting up. They spot up. They do an excellent job. You notice they always know where to throw the ball to if you take away the layup.
10 on the shot clock. Dudley comes out to defend against Stockton. Does not give Keith a good pass. And Hornacek fires it up. Loose ball, and Oakley tries to save it, and instead the Jazz have a new clock. Hornacek misses a 3. And finally, the Knicks wind up with a loose ball. They're not very aggressive in going after those loose balls tonight. Coming off the win over Denver last night by 14, they've been kind of in a malaise against the Utah Jazz, and you thought the Jazz would be affected by the Cycli trade controversy. We'll have more on that coming up with Cheryl Miller during this second half. Last touched by the Jazz, and the Knicks have 2 seconds to attempt a shot.
Well, if you enjoy good defense, Utah is giving us a great run tonight. They have been rotating perfectly, getting in front of the shooters. Anytime that a perimeter guy's taking a shot, the hand is right there.
They've held the Knicks to 30% from the field. Allen Houston misses from the corner, and it is still 36-20. Stockton lays it in. Ward tried to deflect that pass, but it was a beauty, and John Stockton now with 8 points in the game, and the Jazz add to their biggest lead. Larry Johnson going strong to the basket, and the layup for Johnson, only his 7th point.
Yeah, I mean, the shot attempts haven't been there because of the turnovers. You look at 3 for Johnson, 3 for Oakley, 3 for Dudley. So you know that the front court people have really struggled handling.
And the Jazz dominating them, as we showed you at our halftime statistic, in the front court. Here's Malone facing the hoop against Dudley. Keith with a big offensive rebound. Hornacek fires away. Long rebound, and Hornacek wins that battle. The Jazz are beating the Knicks to the punch on virtually every loose ball.
And the guy who's in there, you keep mentioning his name, is Keith. Keith at that small forward position is making tons of things happen.
6 on the shot clock. Stockton finding Malone, and Oakley runs into him, knocking Carl down.
That's the kind of night it is, Charles. Yeah, Charles is laughing because he just could not stop. Now this is just a home run pass. Now watch Stockton catch this as he lays it up. Watch him shield his body right there so that Charlie Ward, if he wanted to block it, he had to go right over the top. Now this is just a good fake. And that's what I like. Every one of the Utah Jazz when they catch that pass on the perimeter, it's always a ball fake first.
Karl Malone now with 20 points in the game. Jerry Sloan, whose Utah Jazz have won 5 in a row and have taken a one-half game lead over the San Antonio Spurs in the Midwest Division. This is critical for the Jazz to win the division if they can, because that would assure them the 2nd seed and home court advantage in the first 2 rounds. And a loose ball foul on the missed free throw by Malone against Utah, and the foul is against William Cunningham.
Yeah, he went right across and just put his body right on Chris Dudley, moved him right out of there. And you're right, Dick. So if you do not get the 2nd seed, you could be in 5th position and in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, you may not get home court advantage throughout. The Jazz, losing in the finals last year, think they can win it all this year. Thus the trade for Cycli, which hangs in the balance. 59-32, the Jazz running away from the New York Knicks. We have 8 minutes and 22 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Karl Malone over Dudley. Heath crashes the boards, and they'll finally get him for a loose ball foul, his 3rd.
If you're going to be an excellent offensive rebounder in this league, you have to sacrifice your body, because people block you out. You got to take that contact. Then when you go to the offensive glass, you're going to get hit again. Adam Keefe tonight, 4 offensive rebounds.
Charlie Ward, the point guard, guarded by John Stockton. And the starters still in there for the Utah Jazz with 4 minutes gone by. Allen Houston struggling from the field. He is 4 for 16, and his string of the 10 straight games with 20 or more points is in jeopardy. Houston right now has 9. 10 on the shot clock for the Jazz.
See, they're so well schooled. They just take their time, they milk the clock, and they end up with a good shot.
Hopefully the rebound on Malone's miss. Knicks down by 27. They trailed to start this game 9-0 and twice came back to within 2 before the Jazz pulled away. Steal by Stockton. John Stockton leading the NBA all-time in steals. Try to feed Malone, but it's knocked out of bounds.
Well, John elevated too early that time because he looked to pass first rather than look for the shot. Now, this is just a great steal. John comes right down inside and once again knocks the ball free from Larry Johnson, putting it on the floor.
Herb Williams, in his 17th year, has come in the game for the first time as Chris Dudley goes to the bench. Utah with 9 steals thus far. And they're mopping up a wet spot on the court. So Herb Williams getting an opportunity here. And it was knocked away, so it'll still be inbound by the Jazz.
You know, Dick, the William Cunningham story is interesting because he did not play in the CBA this year. He was not playing with any team. He tried out with the Jazz in the summertime. They did not invite him back. Phoenix let him go. He went and he tried out with the Boston Celtics. They cut him, and he did not play basketball. All he did was work out at his home, lifted weights, and the Jazz said, you know what, we want a guy who knows our system.
Cunningham puts it through, and he hurt his hand. He actually cut his hand in the first minute and a half of the last game against Charlotte and had to leave. Played only 9 minutes. It's bandaged, and you can see he might have aggravated it on that stuff.
Well, all they want him to do is rebound, get to the glass, make easy things happen, like right there. Use your strength, big fella, and you'll be helping out this team immeasurably. Just take up space, and then when we get you the easy one, send it down strong.
No one taught me more about teamwork than my dad. They called him Mr. Mean because he never smiled. He didn't smile when he volunteered to coach the kids in the neighborhood. He didn't smile when he drove the team to every game, or when he worked with kids for hours on his own time. He showed me anyone can make a difference if they just get involved. I'll tell you something else about my dad. He's got a great smile. Team up with your community.
Yeah. With formidable strength, a distinctly individual style, and the strongest V8 in its class, this is the most powerful Sierra in GMC's history. Sierra gives you the style to stand apart from the herd, and the power to pull it. Sierra by GMC, putting you comfortably in command.
You know me like a book. You know my moves before I make them. I go right, you're there. I go left, you're there before me. I shoot from downtown, you're in my face. The only way to beat you is to go right at you. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. Tonight, I'm gonna own you. Ready? Let's go.
The NBA on TBS is brought to you by GMC, putting you comfortably in command. By Dutch Boy Paints, give your home the lasting look of Dutch Boy. And by Fila, featuring the new GH4s. Change the game.
And Utah comfortably in the lead at home against the Knicks. We want to take a break and bring you bonus coverage now from just across applications.
Bryant Career College is the place to begin your exciting new career in computer applications. Classes are forming now. Call Bryant Career College to enroll today.
And welcome back to the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. Dick Stockton and Hubie Brown with you. Allen Houston with a turnaround, but it's not enough for the Knicks, who have been outclassed and continue to be so by the Utah Jazz, who lead by 30. Karl Malone with 23 points. Adam Keefe with 12, and the forwards continue to do it for the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, it's just been a total dominance at both ends of the floor.
Karl Malone checking the injured tendons on his finger, which Hubie mentioned. Will have surgery after the year. A timeout with the Jazz leading by the enormous score of 70-38. Karl Malone with 25 points. And we told you we'd update you on the Ronnie Cycli trade situation. And right now, let's go to Cheryl Miller.
Thanks, Dick. With me is Larry Miller, the owner of the Utah Jazz. And right now, Larry, where does the deal stand for Ronnie Cycli?
Well, they told us all day yesterday that he wouldn't come. They told us today that he wouldn't, and he missed 2 flights, so we take him seriously. We notified the league and Orlando about 40 minutes ago that unless he was here by 8 o'clock, which is 20 minutes from now, that the deal was off.
What has been the bone of contention for Cycli?
Well, part of the problem is they haven't told us that we want this, or this specifically. They've talked around stuff about him wanting to be waived at the end of this season or extend him. I mean, it's kind of one extreme or the other, but they've never been specific about what they wanted. Meanwhile, Ronnie, in talking to our players, says, I want to be there. He's told Carl and John, I want to come play with you guys. I want a chance for a ring. But the agent's saying none of that matters to him. He just wants to go back to Greece.
Now, you've been on and off the phone with Steve Kaufman, who is Ronnie Cycli's agent. What was the last conversation that you had?
Well, the last conversation is going on right now. It's still, as we speak, to see if there's anything that they want to tell us they haven't told us before.
So there still is a chance that he could be?
There is, but it's really slim. We could extend till the trading deadline tomorrow. 6 o'clock Eastern time, if there's a reason to do it. And we wanted him in the first place. We want him now, if he'll come and if he's ready to play and willing to play. But it's a pretty long shot right now. He's got about 20 minutes.
All right, thanks a lot, Larry. Let's go back to you.
All right, we're still going to hear from Scott Layden at the hour. But Hubie, we talked to Jerry Sloan today. He said that if this trade doesn't happen, it's going to be disastrous for our club because we have 2 players, one of whom doesn't want to be here anymore, Chris Morris. Foster was upset when he left. Cycli was going to be the man to fill a center spot in a very sensitive Western Conference race. This really does hurt the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, it does, Dick, mainly because they thought they were going to get a guy guaranteed points. He's averaged 15 throughout his career, also the 10 rebounds. They were expecting that. But you have to look at this and say, Chris Morris was not in their regular 10-man rotation anyway. Right there is their starting center. Craig Ostertag at 7'2". He'll be back in 3 weeks. Foster is going to come back here and get very meaningful minutes. So, you know, as perturbed as he might be, if the trade does not go through, you're not going to worry about that. He's a professional player getting paid professional money, and he better come and give 100%.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, that you have to remember, and this is as a coach you would know, and you do know, and that is that the inner workings of a team, when you have leadership on a team, you prevent things from getting out of hand morale-wise.
Well, absolutely. The key guys naturally will be Stockton and Malone and also their coaching staff. Everything is extremely disciplined here. Everyone works together, mainly because they're 2 star players adhere to the coaching staff. And the coaching staff will set the tone when these guys come back. And you know yourself, they don't tolerate fooling around here. You don't get out there and give them 100%. They take you right out of the game because they have excellent bench players here. So now you know they can't go a long period of time with Cunningham night in and night out, getting it done, and then going small against other teams that have inside depth. So it's going to be interesting, Dick. If it goes through, it'll be an excellent plus for the team. If it does not go through, well, then you come right back here right now, and you go with Foster, and then Ostertag will be back in 3 weeks.
Hornacek scored at one end, and Chris Mills with a three-point basket, and John Starks has been called for the technical foul. How do you interpret Larry Miller's explanation that Ronnie Cycli told Malone and Stockton, I want to be there, but the agent says that doesn't matter?
Well, we have to listen and take for what he said because we are not privy to what really went down. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound because the coach, supposedly the agents, want the 2 years that Ronnie Cycli gave up at $5 million a year when he was traded from Golden State to Orlando. He gave up 2 guaranteed years to make that deal go. So what happens? All of a sudden, Orlando now on the last year of his contract, they trade him here. Well, Utah doesn't have to give him 2 guaranteed years at $5 million apiece, and they don't have to give him a bonus. They just pick up the contract that he had, which goes to the end of the season.
Malone went out with 25 points, and stepping on the line, it'll still be Utah ball. And isn't Ronnie Cycli going to be a free agent anyway?
Yes, he is. But, see, he has the ace in the hole. And that being that he is a Greek citizen, the best European basketball is played right now in the Greek league. They have already approached him before this about going back to Greece and playing at an incredible sum of money where they also pay your taxes. So for Ronnie Cycli, he has a definite out. Now, whether at the end, where he becomes a free agent at the end of this year, whether he would sign with another NBA team or whether he would go back to Greece, he's in the driver's seat in this deal. Now, Utah can make it work if the agent will tell them how much they need, and Larry's not throwing that out to us here on this interview. He's not saying what they want, or will they say what they want?
John Starks on the personal foul. Hornacek with the free throws, and with under a minute to go in the third quarter, the Jazz leading 74-41. The Knicks with 19 points in the first quarter, 11 in the second, 11 so far in the third, and frankly, that doesn't get done. And shaken up is Oakley.
No, that's Chris Childs.
Chris Childs.
Yeah, Chris Childs went strong to the basket that time and took a hip. And when he took the hip, he went right into the stanchion. Keep an eye on this now. Now just watch the hip right there. Turns his body, and he catches the end of the stanchion. Now just watch as he's hipped right there by Antoine Carr. It turns his body, and he lands right into the stanchion.
And a timeout called with 51.1 as Childs flexing that right wrist. We'll be right back.
With formidable strength and a distinctly individual style, this Sierra is the most powerful half-ton truck in GMC's history. Sierra gives you the style to stand apart from the herd, and the power to pull it. Sierra by GMC, putting you comfortably in command.
People have been asking how we put so many new capabilities into the Pentium 2 processor, like the ability to run software that lets you enhance photos, watch smooth full-screen DVD movies on your PC, and play games in lifelike 3D. Well, as you can see, it's all very technical.
Under a minute remaining in the third quarter here at the Delta Center, where the Utah Jazz score the first 9 points of this game. Really never look back, as Chris Childs, who was shaken up moments ago in his right wrist, is all right, and he will go to the free throw line to attempt 2 shots. And making his first appearance in the game, Anthony Bowie, who was picked up by the New York Knicks. Former Orlando Magic player, played with Italy last year, has been in 6 games. Here's the injury to Child.
Yeah, you can see it. Now just watch as the body is turned. As he comes down, he tries to brace himself with that right hand. Now, our last game, you and I saw another guy come down by the name of Mashburn and try to brace himself with that right hand, and unfortunately fractured that thumb.
Which has put the Miami Heat in all sorts of problems as far as strengthening their offense and where they may go with the trade with less than 24 hours to go before the deadline. 74-42 in favor of the Jazz, and it is still Utah's ball with 9 seconds on the shot clock. There is Bowie, who played in 74 games with the Orlando Magic 2 years ago. Also been with the Spurs and the Rockets, as well as Orlando one time before that.
Yeah, he's a good athlete, runs well, a very good shooter. He's a slashing type of a player.
Here's Mills, guarded by Brian Russell, and the turnover picked up by Carr. Hornacek, the only regular in the game, as Carr misses, and Mills brings it up. What should be the last possession of the third quarter. The Knicks have not scored as many as 20 points in any quarter so far in this game. Childs with a jumper at the buzzer, and that's the end of the third quarter. And the Knicks with a season's low of three-quarter mark of 44 points as they trail by 30 to the Utah Jazz, 74-44.
We set out to create the first politically correct soft drink. Granola Cola. Made from dolphin-safe waters, with no beans harmed in the curting process. Blending tofu, soy milk, and carbonation, our beverage restores the ozone layer, promotes world peace, and tastes like 100% natural.
Image is nothing. Thirst is everything. Obey your thirst.
It's a super weekend on the Superstation.
Oh my God, it's dinner in a movie!
We're getting in deep with Goldie and Kurt.
Save the jokes, we're starving here.
And staying up late with Ethan and Julie.
No delusions, no projections. What's this to make tonight great?
We're gonna race some heck with Sly and the boys.
It's a go. Take them down.
And take a trip to the tropics with Mariel Hemingway. It's only this weekend, and it's only on the Superstation.
TBS Superstation is the place to catch big-time sports.
How far is it gonna go?
Atlanta Braves baseball.
Got him swinging with a changeup.
The NBA.
My goodness.
NASCAR. The PGA Championship and the MasterCard PGA Grand Slam. Professional and amateur figure skating. And coming next summer, the 1998 Goodwill Games from New York. Super Sports, here on the Superstation.
And welcome back to Salt Lake City. The NBA on TBS, and as we start the fourth quarter, the Utah Jazz rolling away from the New York Knicks, who have scored 19, 11, and 14 points in the first 3 quarters. And Ken Nolan, our producer, and Gary Lehman, our director, have emphasized the forwards and what they've done tonight early on. And Karl Malone and Adam Keefe each with double-doubles tonight. Malone having another brilliant game. He'll be with 25 points.
Yeah, they're shooting 47%, Dick, 13 offensive rebounds. They've already attempted 28 foul shot attempts. Now, the Knicks, 32% from the field, only attempted 14 free throws, have missed 8, and they have 14 turnovers going into this last quarter.
In other words, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for the Knicks, and the Knicks are responsible. Bowie with the jump shot. The Knicks leading scorer, Hubie, is Allen Houston with 13, followed by Chris Mills with 8, and Larry Johnson with 7.
Well, they're going right now with all their quick people and Herb Williams as a center. They're going to try to force the turnovers, get out in the open floor, and see what happens. They're going to make their major run right now.
Giles, Bowie starts, and Mills, but it won't stop. Brian Russell, who's in double figures with 10 points, and he is the 4th Jazz to hit double figures.
Brian Russell just said, it doesn't matter how many small guys they have out here. We're shooting over them.
Herb Williams missing the shot in the paint. And a minute going by in the 4th quarter, the Utah Jazz. And they have designs. This is a sense of urgency that this Utah team has this year, losing to the Bulls in 6 games last year in the finals, and they feel that they can go all the way this time. Bowie on a feed from Giles with the basket, and it's 76-48.
Bowie's the kind of guy, in a game like this in a quarter, he could get you double figures in a hurry because he's so quick in changing ends that he can really hit the open shot.
Knicks down by 28, and a steal by Chris Childs. Isley comes in, fouls Childs, who gets the basket and can make a 3-point play out of it.
Well, you know, Chris Childs in his years at New Jersey averaged 13 points a game, was highly recruited by the New York Knicks, signed a long-term contract. Now just watch. Good anticipation by Childs. Now just watch as he uses his body here. He wants the contact, but then the key, he can finish with his left hand. Nice bump. Good score.
Knicks on a 9-2 run with a little more than a minute and a half gone by here in the 4th quarter. It is a 26-point game. The Knicks were down by as many as 34, but he did not make the free throw.
The Knicks were in a half-court trap, went for the one trap. Now they're back playing man-to-man. I tell you, Jerry Sloan tonight, Dick, you cannot wait for this game to end. You're ahead by so many points. Coaches hate the coaching games like this because you're always afraid that the other team is going to make a rally. Your guys, and then you're going to put your first cup black, and they're not going to be able to put it up. But for right now, first half, their bench dominated the Knicks bench. Let's see what happens now.
And of course, Jeff Van Gundy would like to see this game go on and on, I'm sure, right? It's a nightmare for him, but we know what you mean. Let's end it. Shandon Anderson on the layup, misses. And the rebound by Herb Williams. Knicks down 76-50 to the Utah Jazz. Bowie, very athletic, draws the foul, and there's an example of the quickness that he shows with the rest of the quick people in the lineup.
So they're down 26. Jeff Van Gundy would like to see this group play tough defense, cause some turnovers, get out in the open floor, play unselfish. Let's try to make it a game. And you never know what can happen in NBA basketball. We have seen too many teams, good teams, blow big leads at home.
There's the lineup for the next 3 games on Turner Sports, all starting at 8 o'clock. The next 2 on TNT, and a week from tonight on TBS. 25-point lead, and there is the Knicks extending their defense. 9:45 remaining in the 4th quarter. And here is Isley going baseline.
Yeah, those guys.
Brian Russell for 3. And it's tipped out of bounds by Carr, and the Knicks will take over. So the Knicks with an opportunity here because the clock says they've got a lot of time.
Dick, isn't it uncanny how you drive the baseline with Utah? The defense rotates, you kick it out to the top of the circle, and they always have 2 people spotting up at the top of that circle.
Mills guarded by Keefe at the top, trying to deny the interior pass. Mills for 3, way off the mark. And it'll be Jazz ball. That barely scraped the rim.
Well, they ran John Stark off a high screen. Then he went down underneath, came off a staggered screen. He was not open. He passes back. Mills is by himself, and it looked like a gust of wind came through here and took that ball to the right of the rim.
It would certainly affect the skiing events, the alpine events here at the Winter Olympics in 4 years from now, but I don't know about inside here at the Delta.
I want to tell you, that wind at our hotel today, trying to get outside the door.
Wasn't easy. Well, at least we didn't have to go to the top of the mountain. All we had to do is look at the top of the Wasatch Mountain.
There you go.
13 on the shot clock, and here is Brian Russell over Bowie. And the Knicks get the loose ball. Nearly, and they do turn it over. Bowie tried to go with it before he had control, and the Jazz get it back. And Starks called for the foul, and very lucky he wasn't called for his second technical. The official had his back to him.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, John was right up in there. He thought that he created, you know, a loose ball right there. But he did have body contact.
John Starks with 4 points tonight on 2 for 9 shooting, 4 personal fouls. And that's the inconsistency that you get from John Starks from game to game. Shandon Anderson with the basket and the foul.
This guy can finish.
Yes, he can.
He's shooting over 50% for the year. And last year, you know, he struggled with his shot. He came back. He worked all summer long. He's shooting 56% from the field.
Best field goal percentage on the Jazz on a team that has 4 players shooting 50% or better. 79-51 with 3.5 minutes gone by here in the fourth quarter. The Utah Jazz with what has been a breather for them, looking for their 6th win in a row. Carr blocks Childs out of bounds, and it is still Knicks ball.
See, you still cannot get to the basket for an uncontested layup. Utah, they're out there and they're working because they know that if they let up, they're coming right out of the game and someone will replace them. You notice right there, they take it away with 2 guys. Nice block by Antoine Carr.
Here is Starks hitting from the corner. John Starks, only his 6th point of the game. And the Knicks trail by 16 with 26.
Good statement by Jeff Van Gundy before the game. At home, Starks scores 4 more points than he does on the road per game.
But he seems to rise to the occasion against the better clubs, but tonight that has not been the case. Russell missing a 3, and Carr tips it out to Bowie. He's going to challenge Isley and lay it in. So Anthony Bowie.
I like him, Dick. I tell you, I've always liked this guy.
How can you not like his athleticism?
Oh, and you know what he is? He's a wonderful young man. He gives it all every time he's out there.
7 points in 7 minutes for Anthony Bowie, playing in his 7th game in a Knick uniform. Childs tries to get it to Herb Williams, and Williams goes up, and a foul called against the Jazz.
See, right now, Childs is saying something to Starks, because Starks was hot, that Childs did not give him the ball when he posted up. He spotted up out there for a 3-point shot on the right side of the floor. So after that play, Childs said something to Starks, and he just walked right by him because he was wide open.
Herb Williams missing the free throw. The Knicks started off the game unable to handle passes inside, and they abandoned that part of the game. Went for perimeter shooting and couldn't hit. 2 for 13 tonight from 3, but they missed all of the perimeter shots, even those from inside the arc. Allen Houston struggling tonight from the field. He may have 13 points to lead the Knicks, but his shooting percentage is way down, 5 for 18.
Nice steal.
And it's going to be John Starks. Starks with the basket. 21-point lead now, and you're right, it looks like
oh yeah, there's still 7 minutes.
Jerry Sloan wishes this were a 3-quarter game.
Every guy who's been a successful coach has been in this situation. You hate games like this, Dick, I'm telling you.
Keith fouled by Bowie, and he'll shoot a pair. Right now, let's go to Sherman. And welcome back to Salt Lake City. It's a 20-point lead for the Utah Jazz. One time the Jazz led the Knicks by 34. And is now 80-60 with under 6.5 to go in the fourth quarter. Shandon Anderson can beat you off the dribble. Doesn't get the basket, but Adam Keefe follows and misses, and the rebound by Herb Williams. Into the game, Brooks Thompson, who had played with the Utah Jazz, who has been signed by the New York Knicks. And John Starks with a 2-point basket to make the score 80-62.
We have 6 minutes to go here, Dick. Come on. It's just NBA basketball is crazy, especially when you can make the threes. And what I like about the effort that Jeff is getting out there right now from the Knicks is this group. They have not given up. They are really trying hard, and they're forcing things to happen defensively.
They are on a 21-6 run ever since they were well deep in the well. And they are going with their reserves. Herb Williams, who obviously has not played much. Anthony Bowie. Brooks Thompson, along with John Starks. And Chris Mills, the 5 out there for the Knicks.
Well, Bowie has done an excellent job. He has 9 points in this ramble scramble time, or like some people say, it's garbage time. But it was too early. I mean, we've been playing for an entire quarter, and this group really has knocked things down. They've been unselfish with their passing, and their quickness has caused the problem.
Thompson with the ball. He's from Oklahoma State in his 4th year. Starks and Thompson, 2 former Cowboys from Stillwater, in the lineup for the Knicks right now. Russell with the interception, and Shandon Anderson takes a hard foul from Chris Mills.
The Utah Jazz are playing that staggered screen for Starks. They're jumping out and trapping Starks. Mills twice now has tried to throw the ball to the screener, who has been open, and it's resulted in 2 turnovers, Dick.
Adam Keefe goes to the bench, and a double-double tonight, 13 points and 12 rebounds, and coming off a 12-rebound game, which was a season's high in the last outing in the win against Charlotte on Monday.
He's been a bear on the offensive glass. He's really done a terrific job.
Anderson misses the free throw. Jacques Vaughn, the rookie from Kansas, who is a much celebrated backcourt performer who decided to stay at Lawrence and finish and get his college degree. A very intelligent young man. As you well know, Mills from Thompson gets the layup, is seeing some action.
Well, he did a terrific job backing up Isley when Stockton was out for the 18 games. Now, he struggles with his shot. He's not shooting well. He's only shooting 33%, 13 and threes. But they love his savvy, how he can run a team. They love his defense.
And how about that one?
The fact that he can catch loose balls in the air and lay it up underneath. No, but they feel, Jerry Sloan feels, that he will work himself into becoming an excellent shooter.
All of the 10 players suiting up for the Utah Jazz scoring tonight. Here is Bowie missing from the outside. Carr tipping it over to Jacques Vaughn. Vaughn with a great feed to Shandon Anderson. The basket counts and a foul, and there is still much for this crowd to cheer about in this round.
Well, the second unit, you know, I realize that the Knicks have done a nice run on him right now. But when you look at Shandon Anderson and you look at Isley, and then you put Russell out there with this group. See, this is just a nice pass, unselfish, going to a guy who can finish. Now, you're looking at Anderson. He's 6'6". He's got a lot of movement, and there is a guy who's making the unselfish play. But that he was always noted for that as a high school guard and a great career at the University of Kansas.
And Jerry Sloan, high praise for him when we talked about him today. He said his time is going to come. He has been very patient. He's smart, and all of the ingredients that Jerry Sloan likes in a player. Herb Williams with the turnaround, and the Jazz leading now 88-66.
Hey, Herb Williams' first 7 years in this league at Ohio State, he averaged 18 a game for Indiana. He could score in his young days.
Antoine Carr doesn't get the bounce, but will go to the line as he is fouled in the act of shooting with 3:55 remaining in the 4th quarter. And Carr on the free throw line. Free throw is good. Well, tomorrow night on TBS, you can see lightning, but you can feel thunder. Thunder begins live tomorrow and every Thursday night, beginning at 8:05 Eastern, only on the Superstation. 1 free throw and 2 attempts for Antoine Carr. 89-66. The Knicks are trailing. The Knicks have given up 88 points a game, leading the NBA in points against. The Jazz have already surpassed that. There's Bowie with the layup. Anthony Bowie wearing number 13. Only 3 previous New York Knicks have wore number 13. Ray Williams, Ed Sherrard, and Mark Jackson, who's now toiling for the Indiana Pacers. Slapped away, Brooks Thompson from Isley. Thompson, and now his pass picked off by Brian Russell.
That was excellent hustle by Brian Russell. Thompson never saw it. He thought that he had a clear man in that outside lane. Russell just ran the defense down.
14th steal of the game by the Jazz. Here's Jacques Vaughn with a fake on Thompson, goes up and draws the foul. He's not afraid to go inside.
No, he's got a lot of savvy. He's a bright young man. He knows his time is in the future.
.05 Eastern this Friday, only on the Superstation.
Every week on the Superstation, there's a storm shaking the ground, pushing the limits. Live on the Superstation, Thunder. Last Thursday, Hogan looked for an apology from Macho Man, but got a telegraphed message. DDP saved a crippled Benoit and cleared out Raven's block, and the total package met the Nature Boy. This Thursday night on the Superstation, feel the Thunder. Thunder, Thursday night, 8:05 Eastern, only on the Superstation.
Now it's time to take a look at tonight's Dutch boy in the paint. And just say the Jazz. Just say the Dutch Jazz in the paint. 66-38 with the front court. And the rebound edge of 43-36 thanks to double-doubles by Karl Malone and Adam Keefe. Jazz have had their way with the Eastern Conference, 16-4, not counting this game, and that is what they have done, including a 2-0 series sweep over the Bulls. And this will be their 13th straight victory at home against an Eastern team.
Well, they feel that they have 2 trips each, 5 games each against very difficult opponents. They also have 11 games remaining against the top 5 winning teams in the West.
So they have their work cut out for them.
They sure do, Dick. That's why it's so imperative that when Foster comes back here, he steps right in, carries the load at that center position until Ostertag comes back, and they get right back in the swing of things.
They have not been pleased with the play of Greg Ostertag before he got hurt. He had been a tremendous disappointment this year, so it remains to be seen whether Ostertag's play improves when he gets healthy. Here is Cunningham missing the turnaround, and the Knicks with Childs with the ball. Here's Thompson firing away for a 3. Brooks Thompson with a 3-point basket, and the Knicks trailing 90-73 with 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. They put up a fight with their quick reserves, but not enough time remaining.
When you look at the total dominance, Dick, the fast break points, the second shots, you know, the foul shot attempts, and you look up, they only had 90 points. It was just a frustrating night at the Knicks' offensive end of the floor. From the fumbled balls, the bad turnovers, the missed easy shots in the painted area, the frustration.
They have scored the Knicks 31 points in the fourth quarter after having unable to get 20 in any of the first 3 quarters. Rebound by Herb Williams. The Knickerbockers looking to avoid their worst loss of the season. They were beaten 98-78 at Milwaukee in December. A 20-point setback. They're down by 15 right here.
You look at the Knicks situation, Dick. They leave here. They're off tomorrow. Friday night, they're at Portland. Now, they play at Portland, then they go home and play Houston. But once they finish that game at Portland, they have 4 home games to make up. So, you know that that is a major plus because they play so well at Madison Square Garden. They're 18-6 at the Garden. So, you know, that's a major plus for this team. And they're doing it without Ewing. They're doing it without Buck Williams, 2 of their mainstay post-up guys. Now, Oak had a tough night tonight, and unfortunately for him, he was split open over that left eye.
1 minute remaining in the fourth quarter. Allen Houston, who has been on the bench for a while with 13, the leading scorer for the Knicks. Isley hitting a 3. Houston leading with 13, but only 5 of 18 from the field. Mills with 11, Bowie off the bench with 11, Starks with 10, but not much from the Knicks offense when they needed it. That was Brooks Thompson, and it's 92-78.
This is like a coming out party for Anthony Bowie and Brooks Thompson. Both guys have done a very nice job.
No question. In a losing cause, the Knicks will have their 4-game winning streak snapped, and their record will go to 29-22. With New Jersey losing tonight to the Atlanta Hawks, the Knicks will remain 1 game behind the Nets, who are in second. Now they are 3.5 games behind the Miami Heat. Inside the NBA will be coming up next. And we'll talk about the Ronnie Cycli deal, which is gone by the boards. That will not happen. And the big trade today involving the Celtics and the Raptors. The Jazz have won their 6th in a row, beating the New York Knickerbockers by a score of 94-78 as the Knicks match their low point total of the season. 6 in a row for the Jazz, and they increased their lead to a full game over the San Antonio Spurs in the Midwest Division. Right now, let's go out to Cheryl Miller.
Thanks a lot, Dick and Hubie. Carl, obviously you guys are trying to stay on top of the division. Big win against the Knicks, but the trade overshadowing this game. How frustrating has this whole situation been?
Well, it's really frustrating. You know, I guess the deal been voided now, so we do know that. And it's just like anything else, Cheryl. That's why you don't get your hopes up too high, because in this business, crazy things happen. So you can't worry about it now. The big problem is patching up things, and that could be a distraction, but we're professionals, and hopefully we'll do that. But like I said, I'm very disappointed in the whole situation, and we just got to move on from there.
Carl, did you have any conversations with Ronnie about coming to the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, I talked to Ronnie. So, and I guess that's why I'm a little disappointed in the whole way it turned out. I did talk to Ronnie. I respect him as a person. But sometimes when you start listening to agents and stuff like that, things get twisted around. So, I've never been a big fan of agents. I'm going to be the first one to say that. And sure, some things that happened, but I'm disappointed in the way it turned out because, it's like you've been teased. And so we just got to go on from there. I picked it up before, hell, and I got to pick it up again.
Well, let me ask you this then. How do you embrace Chris Morris and Greg Foster? How do you do that?
Well, see, that's the most difficult thing for me right now because everything that happened on this team, they think Karl Malone got a hand in it. They always talk to me about it. So now, I respect those guys as a person, but it put me in a tough spot as a captain of this team. And now all of a sudden, instead of embracing somebody, now you got to go to patch up stuff. And what are you going to tell them? Besides, hey, man, things like that happen. But like I said, if they can play with me, that's fine, and I just got to go from there. But it's a tough situation. And like I said, I can't even begin to tell you. The game was important, Cheryl, but I'm really frustrated and pissed off right now.
Carl, so what do you do the second half of the season? How do you keep this from unraveling and really distracting you second half of the season? Because you're full of emotion right now. You're very, very angry.
Well, I think what I have to do once again, Cheryl, I got to have another MVP-type season here in the second half, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to do that. I'm not going to make any excuses for the other guys. I'm going to get Karl Malone ready to play and see what we can do, but we'll be just fine because I'm going to make us all right.
Hey, Carl, if anybody can do it, it's definitely you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the interview. Let's go back to you guys at the table.
It could not have been said any better than Karl Malone, who led with 25 points and 10 rebounds, and he is a champion, Hubie, no question about it.
Oh, he's going to step up, and he's going to force these guys. You're going to challenge their professionalism, and you know that Foster and Morris are going to come right into the mix.
Yeah.
The key guy, though, is Foster. Morris, whether he plays or not, he missed 26 games. Here they didn't play him. But Foster and then the return of Osatega's team will be fine.
No question, though, that this has been a very upsetting circumstance for the Utah Jazz just when they didn't need it. The trade with Ronnie Cycli blowing up in their faces. We'll have a final word when we come back. Salt Lake City in just a moment.